A BetterHelp ad. Therapy isn't just for times of major challenge. It's a valuable tool for anyone wanting to improve their well-being. It can help you develop healthy coping skills, set boundaries, and support personal growth. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a fully licensed therapist right from your phone. No commuting, no waiting rooms. And you can switch therapists at any time. Sign up at betterhelp.com and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com.
Hey, Modern Mom crew. Today I'm airing a special episode from an awesome show called Get Obsessed, which is also on the Bleav Network. This episode is an interview with Dr. Nadine Macaluso, who is the real-life ex-wife of Jordan Belfort. She was famously portrayed by Margot Robbie in the movie Wolf of Wall Street. It's one of my favorite movies. While Hollywood glamorized the excess, Dr. Nadine reveals the hidden truth, the emotional and psychological abuse, manipulation, and trauma that came with the life behind the movie. I hope you enjoy their conversation.
Welcome to Obsessed, where Mika, Tia, and I challenge the thoughts that limit you, where we provide the tools for transformation. Be prepared to be swept away into the raw power of obsession, unlocking secrets and stories behind the insatiable hunger for growth and change. This is more than just a podcast. This is your story. It is a manifesto for those who refuse to settle, who dare to dream, and who are relentless in the pursuit of living a great life. Get obsessed with your life. Feeling tired, feeling overwhelmed, feeling that you're not living your best life? We start the show. I want to just tell you about Orlo Nutrition. That's ORLO Nutrition. I've got 4 kids, a job, a business, a husband, 2 dogs, and I was lacking energy. Let's be clear. I was lacking energy until I started taking these little beautiful algae capsules that changed the way my brain functioned. I got clarity. I started feeling more energy. Little side effect, my skin started looking better. I felt more vibrant. My husband told me, "What have you been doing, Julie? You seem a little different." It's all about Orlo Nutrition. Guys, get obsessed with Orlo Nutrition. I want you to check them out. That's ORLOnutrition.com. Game changer. Now on with the show. Get obsessed. I need you guys right now to run like hell and get all your friends to be right here with Dr. Nadine Macaluso. She is beyond amazing. You might recognize the name. I'm not sure. You might recognize the name Nadine Belfort. Maybe that's a little more recognizable, but whatever it is, she is owning her own life now. She is teaching other people to break away from those trauma bonds that poison us as human beings. She's amazing. The movie The Wolf of Wall Street was based on Nadine's life with her husband, Jordan Belfort. And I guess, first of all, I want to say, how do you build a brand and how do you get out of that whole lifestyle of being that wife to Jordan Belfort, The Wolf of Wall Street, and become a doctor and start saving people's lives and telling them to run like hell? By the way, her book is called Run Like Hell. You guys have to check it out. It's amazing. Thanks, Dr. Nay, for being here.
Well, hi. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a long journey crawling out of that relationship. Yeah, but it's possible.
Wow. His book, he wrote that while he was in prison.
Correct.
And he served 22 months and then it turned into a movie. I just want to know, Margot Robbie, who portrayed you on The Wolf of Wall Street.
She was perfect.
Did she contact
perfect.
you? And I had to prep for the role she's portraying you. Did she contact you ahead of time?
Yeah. So what happened was that, as you mentioned, so it was a book first, right? Then it became a movie. And they said, okay, Warren Scorsese's office actually called me and said, finally, we're making this movie. And I said, so it's about time you call me. You're going to make a movie about my life. And so they said to me, we have this young woman who's going to play you, and we'd like for her to get your accent. So I was like, oh my God, my accent, that seems so strange. I've been trying to get rid of this accent my whole life. So I said, yeah, I'm taking my daughter to college and I will meet her. And I got to meet her.
Nice. So she got a chance to meet you and she wanted to nail your amazing I like your accent. I like your Brooklyn accent. So did she other than your accent, was there anything else she did to really portray you as you really were at that time, 22 years old, 22 to all those years that you were married to Jordan? Did she portray you?
I mean, listen, we only met, they taped me for about 2 to 3 hours and then we took her to dinner. So I don't know how much she could have really understood about me in that short amount of time, but we did have a very important conversation where I said to her, because she was feeling very afraid of getting naked and the naked, then being nude and all those sexual scenes. And she was really telling me about that. And I said, listen, that fear that you feel right now, speaking truth to power, that's what I felt through my whole marriage. So if you can embody that feeling throughout the movie, you'll be really imbuing a sense of how I felt.
That's incredible advice to give. I can imagine that having a movie made about a portion of your life can be very intimidating, and you're also in this delicate healing process, right?
Yeah.
Like, you aren't who you are today sitting in front of us. Like, how did this movie impact your healing, getting out of this trauma bond with Jordan?
Yeah. So the movie happened. So Jordan wrote the book right when I went back to school to get my master's at 39. So luckily, I was like, first, I've been in therapy for 25 years. So that's why I wanted to be a therapist, because therapy had saved me. And then by the time the movie was about to come out, I was finishing my doctorate. And so I had so many, of course, mixed feelings about it. I like to say that at first I have like my mad Lucia moments where I let myself feel all my feelings and throw the book and get mad and all that. But then therapy a lot. And actually during that time when the movie was coming to fruition, I was actually in a lot of dream therapy. And I did a lot of dream therapy with my therapist around the movie that I think really helped, because, of course, it is a big deal. Like, you already lived through something that's such a great tragedy and was so traumatizing. And here I am thinking, oh my God, I've healed this and I'm on with it. And now it's like back to visit. Right. So the work never ends. And I did do that to get through it. And then I've spoken about this a lot, in that one day I just said to myself, Nadine, you have to surrender. This is bigger than you. You're not going to fight Paramount. Like, they're going to make this movie whether you like it or not. So you could go in kicking and screaming, or you can surrender. And I offer that to people because in surrendering, you're really releasing control and allowing whatever's supposed to emerge, which I had no idea all this was going to emerge. I was going to write this book and all this. But that was my process. And I guess it worked.
I love that, Dr. Nay. And you are so smart. The thing I always think about, and the whole movie has just taken on a role of its own, and you've embraced it as, I don't say as your brand, but from where you were back, I guess it was the 90s.
Yeah.
You are now a gorgeous model, gorgeous, and you're still like really like beyond beautiful, but taking that to a new level by being one smart, badass, psychotherapist, and giving all the info you give online and with your clients. What is that evolution like? Because so many people get caught up in being that one person. Wolf of Wall Street, come on, that's a juggernaut. It's hard to walk away from or remove yourself from, and you've seamlessly brought that into your brand. How is that something in terms of trauma bond? Like, you don't have a trauma bond with the actual movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, but I don't know. I'd love to hear.
I wish I could say that I had some great grand scheme. As a 56-year-old woman, I've just realized that life happens as it happened. When the movie came out, I didn't speak about it. I had nothing to say. I had absolutely nothing to say. And I wasn't just going to have a response to it because it came out, because then I'm still trauma bonded with Jordan, right? Then what he's doing is creating my action. So I didn't have anything to say about it. And I let it go. And then what happened was, I was doing my practice, still evolving as a person, and I saw all these beautiful, kind, smart, amazing women coming into my room, trauma bonded, coercively controlled, getting betrayed by their partners, emotionally, verbally abused. And I was like, we have a fucking problem. We have a problem. We are not in the 1950s. Why is this still happening? And so the true academic that I am, I went back to the research to discover what really was happening. And then ironically, and again, I wish I was this well thought out, I have this vehicle, the Wolf of Wall Street, which is the very thing that I'm trying to break, all this misogyny and abusive women, as the vehicle to ride my message. And when I don't use my name in the Wolf of Wall Street for a reason, because I don't have any creative power, I didn't make any money, and it's not my narrative. And Jordan said to me, when didn't want them to use my name, he said, you have $100 million campaign to do with whatever you want. Now, back then he planted that seed. Again, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but it all just emerged.
We've used the word trauma bond a couple times here. I think it'd be good to go back and explain what that is and what we're talking about.
Sure, good point. So a trauma bond is a toxic, dysfunctional connection between two emotionally attached people. Now, it can happen in any sort of relationship. It can happen friends, parents to child, work. I talk about it specifically with intimate lovers. But a trauma bond has to have two conditions to exist. It has to have a power balance, meaning one person has the power and abuses it. And it has to have intermittent abuse, meaning the relationship has moments of extreme love. The partner is very generous and kind and helpful, but then the partner is also cruel, controlling, betraying, and harmful.
Because you need to bring the person, you can't be constantly cruel to somebody.
Right.
If I was horrible to Mika and Tia, if I was horrible to them, they would never come back. But then if I was like, you're terrible. And I'm like, but I love you. You're so amazing. Oh my gosh, let me give you this shirt, or let me buy you some ice cream. Then there's that push and pull, right?
Yeah. 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 And what happens is that, especially in the beginning, when the partner is presenting themselves as Prince Charming, that's the love bombing stage and everything. And so that ends up happening about 30% of the time. Then the mask falls, and then the cruel, controlling, verbally abusive person is about 70% of the time. And so you're constantly hoping that other 30% person will come back.
That's amazing.
I wrote this down. Whoops. I wrote a quote. He is not Prince Charming. He is a pathological lover.
Yes.
I love that quote. You posted it, Dr. Nate, on your IG. Which leads me to a question. I just discovered the word love bombing maybe 2 months ago, because it's now it's trending. That word's trending, but a lot of people in society don't really know what love bombing means. Can you please explain that?
Sure. So love bombing usually happens in the beginning of the relationship. And that's when a person is warm and charming and kind and generous and helpful, but it happens like in a very intense manner. It's the person has to constantly be texting you, constantly be in contact with you, really wants to monopolize all your time. And they do it in these very over the top ways. And it's with the intention to lure you in, to hook you in, to really trap you in. It's not just a slow, easy pace. So intensity is not intimacy, but love bombing happens very rapidly at an intense pace, and it's all these over-the-top amazing gestures. And I have a saying, if it feels too good to be true, it probably is.
When did you first realize there was something wrong with your relationship, that it was too good to be true?
I realized about 6 months in, but I didn't know what I was doing. I do keep in contact with Jordan, yes, because we share a grandchild. But I realized about 6 months in when Jordan started to say to me, if you don't marry me, I'm not going to date you. Like the threats started to come. And I was like, oh God, I don't want to get married. I'm 23. And then if you don't have kids, I'm not going to marry you. So these threats and these really plowing through my boundaries were signs that I should have listened to, but I didn't know it back then. Nobody knew 25 years ago that he was trying to control me. But I just was like, oh, he just loves me so much.
Do you think he knew he was trying to control you at the time?
Sure.
You think so? It was covert or
He-
what?
Very overt, right?
Overt.
He's like saying to me, if you don't do this, doesn't happen. If you don't do this, doesn't happen. So it's never about what I need. And when you have children and when to get married, there's a really big decision.
And it gets harder once you have children, right? Once you had the kids, did you feel that you were in the thick of things and it was even harder to get out? Or
Of course, yes. And listen, do I regret having my children? No. They're my best friends. My daughter's a therapist. She's 30. My son's a rapper. No, it's great. But that was my decision. That wasn't his decision. So early on in things started to get rocky like that. But I was, again, so much in a trance from all the love bombing that I kept overriding my gut.
Mm. And you being a therapist, you being a PhD, and you've got clients coming in and they're sharing you their stories and these heart-wrenching stories. And do you ever, as you're listening to them and giving them that space to be vulnerable and to speak to you and share, that you're like, wow, this reminds me of the 22-year-old version of me, the 23-year-old version of me, the 25. Do you ever feel that?
Yeah, I'm pretty removed from it at this point, but I have so much empathy for them. A, because I'm a therapist, but B, because I know that they're often also told, like, why don't you leave him? You're codependent. You have learned helplessness, right? There's so much stigma and shame with being that woman. But yeah, I do. Listen, this is what I always say to myself. My poor therapist listened to me for 7 years. Go every Monday at 1 p.m. with the same damn story.
And if you didn't have that story, oh, sorry, Tia, I have a quick question, or Axel has a quick question. If you didn't have the experience with Jordan, you wouldn't have met your current husband. How long have you've been married a long time to your current husband?
I think we're together 25 years this year.
Wow. It wouldn't have led you to where you are today. You might not have been a PhD psychotherapist. You might not have blah, blah, blah. So how do you reconcile all that stuff, that there is a reason why you went through all this hell?
Yeah.
Where would you have been without all this stuff? I'm wondering.
And that's the thing about life, right? Again, we never really know where it's going to take us. And so I can make meaning out of my suffering. And so I'm just that type of person. Humans in general, we're meaning making individuals. But I also try not to put that onto my patients either, because I don't want to have toxic positivity. It's trying to hold that balance between, yes, we can make meaning out of our suffering, but then we also have to acknowledge suffering also sucks.
I love that. I think you said it like perfectly. Instead of being like, there's a reason we went through it all, we don't need to frame it that way. We can instead say, look back on it and put meaning to it.
Right.
Because some things don't happen for a reason. They just happen because it's shit. And that's okay to acknowledge that and recognize that. We don't have to make that positive, and we can go back and flip it to be something so empowering that brought us to this point where who we are today. I think that's so important. And it speaks to the thing that you like to talk about a lot, I've noticed, is it's not the victim blaming. It's not the codependency. There's actually traits in certain people that fall down these patterns. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're doing something wrong either. Can you talk a little bit about those traits?
Yeah. So Tia, that's such an important piece, because when I first left Jordan, because he was such an addict, everybody was like, he's an addict and you're codependent. And this is my gut. Even as a young woman in my 30s, I was like, there's something more here. It's much deeper than that. But even the experts weren't telling me that. And in 2019 or 2018, I read a book that changed my life, and it's called Women Who Love Psychopaths by Sandra L. Brown, MA. And I owe all of this to her. She did amazing research. And because she had worked with women that were victims of intimate partner violence or coercive control. And they weren't, and they were very high functioning women. They were judges, they were lawyers, they were therapists, they were doctors. And she was like, they're not fitting the model, the old model of this domestic violence victim, right? And so she assessed all these women, and there's a test called the 5-factor model of personality, or the Big Five, which I have on my website if anybody wants to take it. And it measures.
And what is your website? Can you share your website with everybody?
drnae.com, NAE.com. And so there's a 5-factor model of neuroticism, openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and extroversion. And so those are 5 personality traits that she measured. And what she discovered is a lot of these women, which I do, score very high in agreeableness and conscientiousness.
Who's agreeable here? Let me raise her hand.
Oh, God.
I'm like pointing, I'm pointing to Tia.
Mika. These women are loyal, tolerant, pro-social beings that cooperate and will do anything to keep a healthy relationship. And they're also usually, not all, but a lot of them, or have a very integrity-oriented life. And they're very driven to make things work. They're very like, I'm in it till the end. And not every woman has these. Some women have more developmental trauma. Some women are more dependent. And I break it down in my book, so every type of woman understands their traits. But if a woman comes to me and she's really a kind, generous, loving woman, what am I going to say to her? I'm going to therapize that out of you? No. She says to me, I'm a type A overachiever, and I do things well, and I do things till they're done, and I feel accomplished. I'm like, okay, these are all good traits, but in the hands of a pathological person, they get totally weaponized. And when I read that research, that is really what inspired me to write my book.
Wow. I'm so glad that you wrote your book and decided to truly share your story and also your clients. I know that you changed their names out of respect. You changed their names in your book. So you're sharing 100% real cases in your book. What do you think of, because growing up, like I've witnessed physical abuse. Like I've witnessed in the neighborhoods, in my home and in the neighborhoods, I've witnessed physical and emotional abuse. And I've also witnessed where those relationships eventually ended.
Yeah.
The women went on to other relationships that were pretty much like similar.
Yeah.
They basically dated another person, but it was still like trauma related.
Yeah.
How do you help women to understand to, once they've ended, looks like they've completely ended that relationship, to actually do the journey?
Yeah.
How do you address that? Or what advice would you give them?
Yes. And that is very common, right? And first of all, usually when you've been in a trauma bond, it's extraordinarily painful. So pain is a great motivator. And the body and brain really grow from threat and pain. So most women, when they come to me, they're like, please, I will do anything to not experience that again. So they're very open and willing to learning about themselves. And when you're in a trauma bond, we're very focused on the other person because we have to be. So I say, let's turn the mirror back on you and let's get really curious about you. What are your personality traits? What are your attachment patterns? Let's try to ensure that they don't enter into this type of thing again. And I also, of course, in my book, educate them about the pathological person and the red flags and the signs to look for. And that's why I use so many clinical cases to illuminate all the different ways this shows up and can happen. I think you can get that in my book. I'm trying to show you every nook and cranny as to how this can happen so you don't go through it again, because it's so painful to go through it once. And as you're saying, Mika, is that how we pronounce it?
Got it.
Yeah, that we don't want anybody to keep going through it again. And the nice thing, I can tell you this now, is some of the women I work with now, and then they go back out and date. And they're like, oh, it happens again. I'm like, but you caught him in 4 weeks. Or you caught him in 8 weeks this time, right? Not 4 years and 8 years.
I love the way you flipped that. I love
Yeah.
that you turn that into a positive because it is. I catch myself, I've been on my personal development growth and I have a higher awareness, like self-awareness. And
Yeah.
then I'm able to let go, oh, I wish I didn't think that. I'm like, oh, I get excited. I'm like, oh, I'm aware of it. Like my awareness is growing. So it's so cool that you're able to tell your clients, you caught it in 8 weeks, you caught it in 4 weeks.
Yeah. And you spoke about growing up and seeing a lot of physical abuse. And the thing about psychological abuse and coercive control and emotional abuse is it's tricky. It's some women say to me, I wish they hit me. It would be easier to say, look at this bruise, look at this bruise. That psychological bullying, emotional abuse is hard to catch sometimes, especially if you think you love the person or they love you.
Isn't that crazy? Just you'd wish that you had physical proof because people aren't educated. What are the things if I am dating somebody new, if I'm entering into a new relationship, what should make me run like hell? Seriously. What is it?
So I have a pathological lover checklist. I have that on my website too, and I have it in the book. And so it's like, are words matching actions? Does the person want to monopolize your time? Does the person respect your boundaries? When you speak to them, can the person actually hear you? Right now, in the beginning, it can be a little trickier because, again, they can be wearing the mask. Does he tell you every ex he ever dated was crazy? You know what the problem is? He probably made them crazy, right? So there are certain things like that we know, or are they always the victim? Is everything always happening to them? They can't take accountability for their actions. So there are certain traits that on the pathological lover checklist that you can literally look for.
Something I think that you talk about so clearly is the difference between narcissism and pathological lover. And I think that this is something that's not actually widespread.
Yeah.
Narcissism is a buzzword right now. That's out there talking about narcissists. But can you explain the difference between the pathological lover and how we can identify the difference in our lives?
Sure. So the word pathological means mentally unwell. Okay. So that's why I use that term. And I'm just going to do a broad umbrella term first. So I say that this person will use, harm, betray, and exploit anyone to get their needs met for money, power, pleasure, and status. Right. So I believe that anybody that is going to use someone they supposedly love as a means to get their needs met at anybody's expense is not well. And the reason why I don't just use the term narcissism is because I believe this person is much more. Is much more than that. So narcissism is someone who's self-absorbed, who's into their image, who's very selfish. This person is deeper than that. I wish they were just a narcissist. I wish. Okay. So a lot of that time, there's like psychopathy, meaning they're very emotionally callous and they're very cruel. And sometimes they have Machiavellian, which means they're very manipulative and very strategic. Someone who stares at you, knows you've been betrayed by a past lover and says, you can trust me, the whole time knowing they're a cheater. That's Machiavellian. Some of them are sadistic, which we don't, that means that they actually get joy out of seeing the people that they love hurt. Not all of them have that, but they usually have a substance use disorder. They can have a process addiction, such as sex or gambling. They can have a mood disorder, such as major depression or bipolar or generalized anxiety disorder, and they have high impulsivity. So that's a lot of things. Now, they don't have to have all of that, but they usually have a perfect cauldron of a mixture of those traits.
I find that fascinating. So I hope people are taking notes.
Words, I know. But when
Right?
I just start to use them, they flop. You'll see.
Okay. I think the biggest thing is like that old school advice that our grandmothers, like the women in the neighborhoods would say, just basically watch by actions. And I feel that
Yes.
women dating, we are so nurturing, we're so loving that we're always seeing the potential in someone. Like we're always giving grace with meeting someone new, but we're doing very little matching.
I gotta interrupt,
action.
Mika. I think we all want to be liked, is what it is, as opposed to like nurture. Like we have that mothering instinct, but I think there's something about women we want to be liked, right? Am I
Well,
right?
so where I'm going with this is we are not really matching someone's actions because Dr. Nate, when you said that, like being like one of the signs, being able to match what
Words.
someone's behaviors and the words. And so do you think that like a lot of women are not doing that, matching someone new, a new guy, matching their actions with their words?
Yes, I do. I do. And I think that also when you're dealing with a highly manipulative person, they can make that very tricky. I think that if someone is lying right to your face, initially it's going to be very hard to discern that, but you'll start to see that it starts to happen. That you'll just start to see it. And I think you're both right. I think that women are nurturers. We are caretakers. And based upon our childhood, or even just like where we are developmentally as a woman at 20 is different than a woman at 40, right? And so, yes, wanting to be chosen, wanting to be liked, we all want to be accepted. That's just a human need. That doesn't mean that our desire to be accepted should be exploited.
Wow, totally agree. This is amazing. What would be a takeaway that you'd want to leave the audience with? What would be one thing?
So I really wrote my book for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is that if you are in a trauma bond, abuse is always the fault of the abuser. You're never responsible for somebody's abuse. What you are responsible for is reaching out to somebody today, a friend, a therapist, being honest with yourself and just saying, hey, I did this. I'm in this. I need to go reach out and get help. Don't isolate, because there is help out there. You guys are too young for Mr. Rogers, but Mr. Rogers says, look for the help.
Wait, that's not true. I remember Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, so look for the helpers. They're everywhere. Don't isolate. Accept, be real with yourself, and go get the help that you deserve.
I think we are all obsessed with Dr. Nadine Macaluso. Guys, I'm going to tell you one thing, okay? I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Run to hell. Run like hell to your bookstore. Don't run to hell. Run like hell, everybody, to your bookstore. Run like hell to Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Get Dr. Nadine Macaluso's amazing book, Run Like Hell. Don't run to hell, because that's not a good place to be. That's where we're trying to keep you out of, right?
That's what we're trying to, yeah. So fun.
We are so appreciative of you. We love you. We are your biggest fans. Follow her at The Real Nadine on Instagram. And guys, get obsessed with your life and run. Let's run like hell right now. We're running. Run like to the bookstores. Thank you for listening to another episode of Obsessed. We're obsessed with you. Show your love by rating, reviewing, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every time you share, you are changing someone else's life. Until we meet again, get obsessed with your life.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life's sleep.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.